What's up, everybody? Emperor John Kill 3D Gaming here with another video, and let's set the preface for this review. This review is not going to be taking outside input. This review is not going to be taking the input of the hyper popular shit on everything Star Wars does take, and it's not going to go in rushed. Why? Because already at this point, I've completed the game a couple times, 2 times, streaming it now for everyone, and now working on this review. Now, let's get it right out the way. I'm going to get the negatives out the way. Star Wars Outlaws does have quite a few issues, and none of it is the typical issues that you hear on the internet. I wish the game, when it comes to Star Wars games, I wish they would come out polished on day one instead of relying on a couple updates to fix them. You know, I don't feel like I should have to crank the difficulty up to high settings to make the AI competent and actually combative. And maybe here or there's a few open world glitches. I haven't seen anything major, like the video falling through the wall or characters' faces messing up, none of that sort. I've just seen the average stuff that you would see in any open world game and in any new game release. It's just the generic stuff, nothing major. Now, what Star Wars Outlaws does do very well is, just like the Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor games, this one puts you in the shoes of someone who is exploring the galaxy, who is at least leaving their comfort zone. Star Wars has always followed. Forget I just said that part. Sounded like fondle. I meant to say follow. Jesus. Followed the hero's journey model for a lot of characters. Now, in this game, you play as an original character called Kay Vess and her companion Nix, and later companion ND5, which is a Clone Wars commando droid, which was a nice touch because I love the Clone Wars. Meeting characters known as Jalen, the main villain Solero, Vale, even interacting with crime lords of the Pike Syndicate, Crimson Dawn of Kira from the comic books and the Solo movie, and of course the famous Jabba the Hutt of the Hutt clans of Tatooine. Now, out of all the things I really like in this game, I'm going to start with the flight. Flying through the stars, flying through space from one orbit to another. This feels like a more upgraded version of the open space levels from Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, where random things could be happening and you could choose to partake in either your own side, the side of the enemy, the side of good, or, like I said, benefit for yourself. And that does that very well with random raids happening in space. Random, I was about to say drug lords, space cartel, which is what they are called in Star Wars, the space cartel of the Hutts, going from planet to planet. And now, I'm not one of those people that got fooled into thinking there was going to be seamless transition from space to planet. It is still very much a load screen disguised with the UI HUD of the spaceship, of your ship, known as the Trailblazer. But that's one thing I do like, is that always give me a chance to customize a ship, speeder, customize the character. Even if it's a preset character, at least give me options to customize their look, such as clothes, weapons, and appearance, which you can pretty much do that in this game by buying different clothes. If you're good with the factions, that's another thing that this game actually does well. It very much reminds me of the Nemesis system from Shadow of War. Sadly, WB has patented the mechanic of the Nemesis system, which I feel is a disservice to all games out there and a disservice by WB. Even though this is Ubisoft making it, a Star Wars game could highly benefit from the Lord of the Rings Nemesis system. You know, imagine playing as Kay Vess or Cal Kestis, and an enemy defeats you, or there's these lines of enemies, and they defeat you by sheer dumb luck sometimes, and they get upgraded through the ranks, like Imperial officers going through the ranks, or Sith assassins going through the ranks, or cartel drug lords of the Hutt clans, or Crimson Dawn or the Pike Syndicates, raising, you know, raising notoriety by defeating you, or you defeat them and then it affects the world. Very little things like that could open the door of new possibilities for Star Wars games. Because right now, all Star Wars games follow a couple of models: open multiplayer engagement, aka the Battlefront series, dungeon style adventure games like the Jedi series, and now you have this first true open world Star Wars game. And you'll probably say, what about the Old Republic? That's an MMO. All MMOs are open world, but we're not talking about an MMO. We're talking about a single player game. And for the planets that you do go to, you can't go to every single system in Star Wars, like every single planet, but you do go to ones familiar and new, which is always good to introduce people into the galaxy of Star Wars, whether that be through movies, TV shows, books, and now, of course, video games. Well, it's always been with video games. Video games is an easy medium for people to get into, especially with Star Wars. Now, the combat in this game, it's very much inspired by earlier Assassin's Creed games and Red Dead Redemption. This one has a very similar setup to Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, how this game is focused, how John Marston had a death mark on him if he didn't complete the task of hunting down his old gang, where in this game, Solero, the main enemy, puts a death mark on Kay Vess for not only stealing his ship, but she unintentionally aided the Rebel Alliance in the escape of one of their soldiers from his base. He's basically an Imperial cartel lord, which I find very interesting, that an Imperial Moff or commander, they really didn't state his rank, if I remember correctly. So you basically go through the game, you're building up a crew, which reminds me of Saints Row 2, where you go around and build up your crew to go on a heist mission or a task. Now, that's one thing I feel like I'm used to playing as a Jedi. I'm used to playing as force-powered badasses. But sometimes it kind of feels good to take it back a notch and play something that's a little bit more ground level. Think about it. If you come across a Rancor or the wildlife in Outlaws, you either better be damn well equipped to fight it, or you better just escape and get the hell out of there. Versus playing with a lightsaber, a Rancor, that's a Sunday for me. A giant fucking Wampa, that's just a Tuesday like M. Bison. But being able to immerse yourself in this game through the card game like Sabacc, taking inspired mini-games from like the Yakuza series, like going to eat, getting boost benefits from it for your little pal Nix. And gear in this game, like hunting for cosmetics and equipment, also helps improve the stats of your character. So you don't level up just by a generic leveling up bar or going up, killing this many people, and then boom, level up. No. How you level up is through different missions and increasing the power of your equipment, such as your blaster, such as equipments to Nix that he could help throw like grenades back. The clothes also help benefit you in the field, giving you different abilities in health or more grenades. Then there's also these contracts from brokers of the different clans. Now there's actually 4 clans. I don't want to spoil the 4th clan for those who haven't played yet, but there is a 4th cartel clan in this game that's at least original for the most part. Exists in the world of Star Wars through some comics and books, but are fully fleshed out here in the game. And you do get your own blaster with 3 different module upgrades for plasma, ion, and power, with rapid fire, single shot, anything like that. Each blaster attachment can also defeat a different type of enemy. If you're dealing with droid enemies, you go to ion. If you're dealing with regular flesh and blood enemies, of course, blaster. And power shot will just blast anything, one of them apart. But for the most part, the game itself has another criticism in terms of the slow start at the beginning. It's like you don't really get thrown into the open universe of things until you leave the planet of Tashara. You leave from the planet of Canto Bight. Canto Bight is the starting planet where you meet Kay, and all I gotta say is no. the actress and the character model is not bad. In fact, the character model is very Ellen Ripley inspired, which I like that since I like the Alien franchise. She's very Ellen Ripley inspired, and her character model looks better when she's in motion, especially with her face and everything like that. People just going out there looking for a big boobed protagonist, or, horny boys of old are just looking for something to beat off to. Well, a female character is more than just tits and ass. They're actually required personality. She is actually a well thought out character for the most part. She's not a girl boss, which is a good thing. That is the one thing a lot of people feared, but you have everyone out there. The moment you see a chick in a video game, even in a leading role, you can't distinguish if they're a good character or not, or if they are a girl boss. She falls more along the lines of standing up with Laura Croft and other popular female characters like Anya from the Gears of War series. A good female character that isn't overbearing, and she knows when to be spunky. She has good dialogue and a good personality. She fits along lines of the female characters of the Star Wars universe, such as Padme, such as Princess Leia, characters like that. So, that for the most part, you wouldn't have to worry about any issues, because I know that's a big thing. Seeing a chick in a video game nowadays, it's like it makes these guys freaking wee swivel up and tuck back into their fucking pants. So, I mean, you can just tell those are people that are not comfortable with their masculinity if they have an issue with seeing a chick in charge. So, that for the most part. Now, for the rest of the game, people say it gets repetitive. I could tell you, it's only repetitive if you make it repetitive. Now, what do I mean by making it repetitive? If you choose to do the same action instead of breaking things up, like going to do races, going to do gambling, going to do side missions for people, exploring different areas to find new quest lines, to meet new characters, and if you just follow the story, then of course, like, it took me at least 45 to 50 hours to beat the main campaign, because I was sparsing in doing side missions. Now, I didn't complete all the side missions, but I did the side missions, I was doing side activities. It also has a little bit of the Skyrim effect. And what does that mean, the Skyrim effect? Now, the Skyrim effect is when you're going on a quest, right? Then something catches your eye in the distance. You're like, should I continue my main quest, or let me go explore this tomb? Then when you go into that tomb, it starts a whole new mission, and then that mission has a reward at the end of it. That's pretty much how this feels, very much inspired by that. And the key games that I can say that this game very draws from heavily, especially how it opens, it doesn't have a good, like, a stronger opening like Jedi Survivor, but it does have a similar, okay, we just did a mission, it went bad, we need to get off world and we need to start from fresh. That's what this opening feels like, but Jedi Survivor handled it a lot better than this game did. But once this game really opens up, I feel that they should take notes from this and make a full-fledged Jedi Cal Kestis game that's a fully open world or open galaxy type of scenario, because the levels in this game are a lot bigger than Jedi Survivor. I thought, okay, maybe they're going to be the same size, they're going to be the same length. No, there is a lot in this game. Of course, I love Jedi Survivor. I still put Jedi Survivor above Star Wars Outlaws, but if I was to be fair, people are just giving it 7s just to, meet a quota. I would say I would at least give it a 7.5 or a 7.9. It's not an 8. It is not a perfect game by no means. And no one can try to convince you otherwise. Not even me. I can't even say this game is perfect because of the little issues that I faced here and there. But if you just go into it without having something... Jesus Christ. I'm slurring my words. And I don't even drink alcohol. Anyway. If you go into this game without having somebody whisper in your ear of how you should think, feel, and tell you how you should play the game, then you will go into it enjoying yourself. But if you go into it with a predeposition of what people tell you, then in my opinion, you really shouldn't have an opinion on the game because your opinion has already been predetermined. Now, let me dive into the one aspect of this game that I actually thoroughly enjoy, and I'd be sitting there. It's the same thing I used to do in Red Dead Redemption, where I would go play the mini games such as poker, blackjack, liar's dice, is the Star Wars in-universe card game known as Sabacc. I thought this was just going to be a tacked-on type of thing to fill out to have in the open world, but no. This has its own little quest line and its own story of you going through the underground Sabacc circuit, and the game itself, yet simple but complex at the same time. It's kind of hard for me to explain because since I never really dived into the Sabacc, I've only seen Sabacc mentioned in the comics, seen it played in some of the panels, and of course you see it played in the Han Solo movie. But to actually get behind a character and play it for yourself, it does give you some moments of tension because you're like, at any minute now, the game could quite literally change. You could have the advantage, and then suddenly one of the other opponents could have the advantage. There are ability cards to give you either refunding your chips, taxing other players. You can even use nicks to sneak onto people's shoulders to tell you what's in their hand, but that's only for certain Sabacc tables that you go to. Like, every Sabacc head player, like the head of the table, has a different ability that they could block out from you doing. One of the Sabacc games I played was it prevented me from using nicks to be able to go and sneak and see what my enemy was playing with. Now, when you're out in the open world, there is so much stuff for you to find and do. It's really a scoundrel's paradise, pretty much like it's a gangster's paradise. You can go around, sneak into Imperial outposts, sneak into gang outposts, search for different items that could benefit you later in the game. And I do like a similar mode that this character Kves has. She has a reduced version of the dead aim from Red Dead Redemption, whereas in Red Dead you can target up to as many people as the bar will allow. In this one, she can shoot up to 3 times at least. You could pick 3 targets and one shot blast them from a distance or up close when you activate said ability. Then traversing the world itself from your speeder, which is customizable, also helps you get around. And these levels, like I said, they are massive, so it's best for you to find as many fast travel points as possible. And there's even certain territories you cannot go into because of the crime system syndicate in this game. What you do is, if you're doing different missions for the crime syndicates, whether it be main missions, side missions, or missions exclusive to them, could also benefit or take you down a notch on their list of respect, because they all have a meter that could, if you somehow are able to get all the meters up, because I'm struggling to keep all the meters up, because every time you do a mission, let's say if you did a mission for Java, and then you got to the end, Crimson Dawn or the Pike Syndicate could get in touch with you saying, do you really want to honor your wish with Java? Or I could pay you more and give you more reputation. You know, they tried to seduce you with better reputation, better gear, more credits, which credits is easy to come by. I thought that would have been a struggle to be able to afford things. No, credits can come in pretty good abundance, and they're easy to acquire. You know, you can find a lot of valuables to sell. Pickpocket, which is another thing I like that Nyx does. He can just go ahead and pickpocket. And I only want to do one spoiler warning, because so far every Star Wars game seems to have a badass Darth Vader moment. Because yes, Darth Vader's in this game, and in one of his most intimidating appearances, where you fought against him briefly in Fallen Order. You do have a boss battle against him in Survivor, but here, since you're not a force-powered wielding badass, he scares General or Moff Solero to death. Because this game takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So, when Vader shows up, he scares the living shit out of Solero with... It's almost as good, actually if not, it's equally as good as when he choked out the guy from Rogue One, Director Krennic, when he choked him out at his castle. Even though he let him live, he choked him out. So, That's also well and done. It just shows that at least in this time frame, we can get appearances from other characters. And I do like the Easter eggs that are in the game, which reference the original, which are all about the original trilogy, and even the Clone Wars and the High Republic era. But going to places like Tatooine and finding Luke's home, it just fills you with a sense of, wow, this is where our childhood started, with just a farm boy looking off in the double suns of Tatooine, looking off at the sunsets, the binary sunsets of Tatooine. And then we break off into this adventure. Now, that's all well and good. That's all I pretty much have to say about the game itself. It's not perfect by no means, but it is one of the better generation Star Wars games we have had. The only issue, issues I personally feel people have with it, and they're just disguising it with other complaints, is we're not a force wielder, we're playing as a chick, and with the era of not knowing when it's actually a well done female character versus girl bosses, yeah, they mix the two up, they conflate the two, and I feel people like that don't really have an opinion and really shouldn't even have an opinion because they can't separate their biases and give things a chance. Because you already have people that are predetermined that says, no, I'm not going to play the game, but I'm going to give an opinion about it. Well, like I said, here are the criterias of how I feel you should approach the game. And if you can't meet those criterias, then I'm sorry, your opinion, at least to me, is null and void. And those criterias are, you should at least beat the game once on your own at maximum settings until they patch it to where the AI is challenging on all settings. Play it to the maximum to at least get the challenge that you're looking for. Beat the game publicly on stream at max difficulty so the audience can also see what you're explaining to them and you can guide them along the way. Play all aspects of the game before reviewing it. Don't review it after just beating the main campaign and missing out on everything and then just basing it solely off the singular minded path that people would go to. That goes for critics and small time reviewers. Because if you rush through a game, or if you just burn through it to the story and then try to judge the whole game based on that, then your opinion is just null and void. Don't let others tell you how to feel about a game that they will admit to openly lying about and openly admit that they're not going to play themselves. Because it's sad that you can't even play a game nowadays without being judged or without people thinking they have the right to tell you something. Well, newsflash, nobody has the right to tell you what you can and cannot play and how you should feel about a game. So, that's all I gotta say about the game as a review. Now, as a message for everybody who wants to give the game a chance and are just doing it to stick the bone to the company Ubisoft, this is not the game to do it with. I say this is the game you should have done it to, is the upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's where you need to make your voices heard. I get it. You guys want to make a point. I understand that. I highly do. But there are just certain times where people act too rashly or too preemptively. And Star Wars Outlaws was the case where a lot of people acted too rash and too preemptively, judging the game, even judging the game before it even released. And look, I know Ubisoft has a bad reputation, and then it's not like, here's the thing, you can't even play a game without being called an Ubisoft show, which is funny because I don't even play Ubisoft games like that. I'm very, very, very picky on what games I play. I haven't even bought a full price game in a long time. This was the first one in a long time. So I think since I purchased it and played it and I'm playing it to its fullest, it gives me the full 100% right to say, yes, those who don't want to play the game and are judging the game anyway and trashing it without playing with it, it's just like that meme photo. Yes, you are all wrong. Yes, each and every single one of you that are judging the game without playing it, you are wrong. And you can easily be proven wrong. Hell, my review alone, talking about the game, talking about its ins and outs, proves every single one of these people wrong. You know, They want to shame you for playing this game. People want to shame you for enjoying something that they do not enjoy. What's funny is the same people who will judge you on playing this game have games themselves that people judge. And you know what I have to say to people like that judge a game and judge the people that playing a game without playing said game? It's a reflection of how weak-minded, weak-willed, and easily manipulated people like you are. If somebody goes in your ear and says, you need to dislike this game, you need to go into it. If you're my subscriber, you need to dislike it, you need to spread the word, you need to self-generate as much hatred as you can to stunt the game. If you're a person that's like that, then you're just going to be talking to the void. And in my eyes, you have no free will of your own. You know, that is very sad. Like in my community, for example, everyone has their free will. Hell, some of my community members on Discord have asked me about the game and usually wait for my opinion before they give their opinion of the game. They'll be like, okay, if it comes to Star Wars, let John go through it first, since he knows the ins and outs of what makes a Star Wars game, and then he'll give us our opinion, and then we'll formulate our opinions why we should give it a try later on, or give it a try now. That's how you go about things. You don't create these false campaigns, these false, ill-fated campaigns of just, alright, we're gonna hate this game, we're gonna go into it, but we're not actually gonna play it, but we're gonna pretend like we played it. You know how that makes you all sound? People who play video games or don't play video games and judge them harshly without even playing them, you all sound like a bunch of quantum TVs. Yeah, remember what happened to him with Elden Ring? Do you guys want that to happen to you, where nobody listens to what you have to say because none of what you say actually means or holds any weight or is actually not relevant to be heard of? I bet you guys wouldn't like that, would you? So, please, people, let yourself form your own thoughts and opinions and not let it be influenced by the outsiders such as the Fandom Menace and all the offspring channels that they have created through their community. Because if any people come to my streams or videos trying to present Fandom Menace arguments, you get easily debunked and easily flash fried. Because just know one thing about people that do this. When you debunk their opinions, their only resort is to send fanboys after you. To basically be like, okay, well, if my fans go after you, that means I'm correct. That means I am right. What I say is law because I have the most subscribers and everything like that. That is such an elitist mindset that I wish a lot of people would break. But sadly, in this day and age, it'll never break as long as these people are allowed to progress. But when you have good and honest reviewers out there like myself that actually dive into all aspects and give you what you need to hear and understand, not telling what you want, but giving you what you need to form your own opinions and your own judgments, that's really much all I can say about this whole situation with Star Wars Outlaws. Now, I already know there's going to be people bitching and complaining, and if anybody even responds to my video, thanks. That's all I gotta say is thank you, because you're gonna be the one that boosts me further in the algorithm. I mean, Lord knows there are people that hate me, and every time they talk about me, they unintentionally boost me in the algorithm. So I could thank you. And to quote Negan from the Walking Dead comics, I shoved it down your throat, and you all thanked me for it. Those are to the haters and my haters, that the more you shit on me and you shit on what other people like, guess what? You're unintentionally helping us in the long run, and you're hurting yourselves. So next time, think for yourselves, people. Use your own God-given free will and the brain that God gave you. Okay? That's all I can really say about it. Star Wars Outlaws, a 7.5 to a 7.9. Could it have been better? Absolutely. Should it be judged the way it is, as harshly as it is? No. Are a lot of the arguments valid? About 50% of them are. The other 50% is just self-generated bullshit to create controversy and clicks. So that's really all I gotta say. This is Emperor John Keel 3D Gaming. Be sure to like, subscribe, favorite, and I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. Take care, everybody. I will see you all next time.